Have you ever wondered why the moon changes its shape every night? From a slender crescent to a full round disk, the moon's appearance in our night sky is ever changing. But what's the science behind this nightly transformation? Is it magic, or is there a more logical explanation? Perhaps it's something related to the moon's orbit and its position relative to the sun and earth. Well, get ready to have your curiosity satisfied. This video will uncover the science behind the changing phases of the moon. The moon's ever-changing shape is due to its orbit around the earth. Let's dive a little bit deeper into this fascinating concept. The moon orbits the earth in an elliptical or oval shape. This means that sometimes it's closer to our planet and other times it's farther away. But regardless of the distance, the moon is always moving, completing a full orbit every 27.3 days. This movement is what causes the moon to appear different to us on Earth. Now here's where things get a bit more interesting. As the moon orbits the Earth, the amount of sunlight hitting its surface changes. This happens because the moon, earth and sun are constantly shifting positions relative to each other. Imagine a line drawn from the earth to the sun. When the moon is on the same side of earth as the sun, we see the dark side of the moon. This is known as a new moon. But as the moon moves around the earth, more and more of its sunlit side becomes visible to us. This is how we get the waxing phases of the moon, from a thin crescent to a half, and finally a full moon. Similarly, as the moon continues its journey and moves past the full moon phase, less and less of its sunlit side is visible from Earth. We call these the waning phases of the moon, where it appears to shrink from a full moon back to a thin crescent, and eventually to another new moon. The moon's orbit isn't just a simple circle around the Earth. It's a complex dance involving the Earth, the moon and the sun, with the amount of sunlight hitting the moon determining what we see from our vantage point here on Earth. So, in essence, the moon's orbit isn't just about the moon moving around the Earth. It's also about the changing relationship between the moon, Earth and sun. This celestial ballet is what gives us the different phases of the moon, from new moon to full moon and back again. The moon's position in its orbit determines the phase we see on Earth. This ever-changing dance in the cosmos is a beautiful reminder of the intricate workings of our universe. There are 8 distinct phases of the moon. Now let's dive into the fascinating details of these phases. First up, we have the new moon. At this phase, the moon is in conjunction with the sun and its dark side is facing the earth. So we can't actually see a new moon in the night sky. It's like a hidden player on the celestial stage, waiting for its grand entrance. Next, we enter the waxing crescent phase. The word waxing here means growing. As the moon moves in its orbit, a slim, crescent-shaped sliver of moon becomes visible. This is the moon's first appearance on our nightly stage. A shy peek, if you will. Moving along the moon's orbit, we come to the first quarter. Contrary to what the name might suggest, the moon is not a quarter of the way around its orbit. Instead, it's a reference to the moon appearing to be a half circle, or a quarter of a full circle. It's a half moon, but in the sky, not in your soup. As the moon continues its journey, it grows into the waxing gibbous phase. Here, more than half, but not quite all of the moon is illuminated. It's like the moon is building up to its grand finale. And here we reach the highlight of our lunar show, the full moon. The moon is fully illuminated by the sun, presenting its full face to us on Earth. It's a sight to behold, lighting up the night in all its glory. But the show doesn't end here. After the full moon, we enter the waning gibbous phase. The word waning means shrinking. The moon starts to retreat, showing us less and less of its illuminated face each night. Then we reach the last quarter, where again, the moon presents us with a half circle, but this time it's the other half. Finally, in the waning crescent phase, the moon reduces to a thin crescent again before disappearing completely, taking a bow and transitioning back to the new moon phase, ready to start the cycle anew. Each moon phase provides a unique view of the moon from Earth. It's a cosmic ballet, choreographed by the laws of physics and performed by our nearest celestial neighbor. Ancient civilizations used the moon's phases to create lunar calendars. Imagine living in the time of the Babylonians or the Mayans. You'd see these civilizations meticulously tracking the moon's phases, using them as a reliable guide to measure time and plan events. The lunar calendar is quite fascinating. It's based on the cycles of the moon's phases, and typically, a lunar month lasts from one new moon to the next, approximately 29.5 days. This results in lunar years that are shorter than our modern solar year by about 11 days. Contrast this with our current Gregorian calendar, which is solar-based. It's designed around Earth's rotation around the Sun, taking approximately 365.25 days to complete a full year. So, we have two types of calendars, one centered on the moon and the other on the sun, each with its own unique rhythm and measure. The moon's phases have been an important part of human history and culture. So, the changing shapes of the moon aren't a mystery anymore. We've journeyed through the moon's orbit around the Earth, appreciating the celestial dance between these two bodies that results in what we perceive as the moon's changing shapes. We've learned that the moon's orbit is elliptical, causing it to appear at different positions in the sky, and consequently reflecting varying amounts of sunlight that reach our eyes here on Earth. We've discovered the 8 distinct phases of the moon, from the new moon, waxing crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous, full moon, waning gibbous, last quarter, to the waning crescent. Each phase is a unique portrait of the moon, a testament to the dynamic relationship of Earth, moon, and sun. We've also delved into the past, unearthing the significance of lunar calendars in ancient civilizations. We've seen how our ancestors used the predictable pattern of the moon's phases to measure time, plan agricultural activities, and even chart the course of their spiritual and cultural lives. In our exploration, we've unraveled the mystery behind the moon's ever-changing phase, transforming it from an enigmatic celestial body to a familiar friend in the night sky. Now, armed with this knowledge, you can appreciate the moon's phases with a deeper understanding and a renewed sense of wonder. Next time you look up at the night sky, you'll know exactly why the moon looks the way it does.